The first thing that felt wrong about the hostel wasn't the building itself, it was the silence. This wasn't the normal quiet of a place settling down for the night, but a heavy, oppressive silence. The kind that feels like it's pressing down on your chest, making it hard to breathe. Outside, the city air was hot and sticky. But as soon as I stepped through the hostel's main doors, the temperature plummeted. The air inside felt unnaturally cold, almost lifeless. I tried to shake it off, telling myself it was just nerves. New city, new college, new life. It was a lot to take in. The warden, a woman with tired eyes who looked like she'd seen it all, barely glanced up from her desk. She pushed a key across the counter. "Your room is 309, she said, her voice flat. She held onto the key for a fraction of a second too long, a strange hesitation in her grip before she finally let go. I didn't think much of it then. The journey to the third floor was like descending into another world. It was noticeably darker than the lower levels. Half the fluorescent lights in the corridor were flickering or dead, casting long, distorted shadows that danced along the walls. The corridor itself was eerily empty, and my footsteps echoed unnaturally in the stillness. And there it was, at the very end of the hall, almost as if it was intentionally isolated from the rest. Room 309. The door was made of old, dark wood, and the brass doorknob was tarnished with age. The lock was rusted, but what really caught my eye were the deep, frantic scratch marks carved into the wood right around the handle. They looked like someone had been desperately trying to claw their way out. A chill ran down my spine, but I dismissed it as my imagination running wild. When I finally managed to turn the stiff lock and push the door open, the smell hit me. It was an overwhelming stench of something old, musty, and faintly rotten, like damp clothes left in a dark corner for years. The room was sparse, almost clinical. A single metal frame bed, a small wooden desk, a rickety chair, and a tall, imposing wardrobes standing against the far wall. The door of the wardrobe was slightly ajar. For some reason, that detail bothered me more than anything else. It felt like an invitation or a warning. That first night, I tried to convince myself everything was fine. I unpacked a few things, arranged my books on the desk, and tried to make the cold, sterile space feel a little more like my own. But the feeling of being watched never left. I eventually fell into a restless sleep, only to be jolted awake by a sound. It was exactly 2 a.m. on my phone's clock. A sharp, distinct click, like a latch being opened. My eyes darted to the wardrobe. It hadn't moved. The door was still ajar, exactly as it had been. I held my breath, listening, but there was only silence. The second night was worse. The sound came again, but this time it wasn't a click. It was coming from under my bed. A slow, dragging noise, like fingernails scraping against the concrete floor. I was paralyzed with fear, my heart pounding in my ears. I squeezed my eyes shut and pulled the thin blanket over my head, lying perfectly still until the first light of dawn crept through the window. I didn't dare look under the bed. I just got up, got dressed, and got out of that room as fast as I could. On the third night, everything changed. I had spent the entire day out, trying to avoid going back to the room. When I finally returned late in the evening, I saw it immediately. There was something on my desk that hadn't been there before, a small leather-bound diary. Its edges were burnt, and the pages were yellowed and brittle with age. I knew with absolute certainty that I had not put it there. The door had been locked. My hand trembled as I reached for it. On the faded cover, 2 words were inscribed in elegant, looping handwriting. Priya Room 309. My blood ran cold. With a sense of dread, I opened it. The entries were frantic, filled with a growing sense of terror. Priya wrote about the room itself feeling alive, about how it watched her every move. She wrote about hearing whispers that called her name when no one was there. She described seeing a figure, a dark silhouette, standing behind her whenever she looked in the mirror. That night, I couldn't sleep. I just sat on my bed, staring at the wardrobe, the diary clutched in my hand. Then, at exactly 2:37 a.m., the wardrobe door creaked open. Not just a little bit, but all the way, slowly, on its own. A wave of icy air washed over me, my hands shaking. I grabbed my phone and switched on the flashlight, pointing the beam into the dark interior of the wardrobe. Mounted on the inside of the door was a full-length mirror. It reflected the room back at me, the bed, the desk, me sitting on it with the phone in my hand. And behind me, someone was standing there, a pale figure with long dark hair covering its face. I spun around so fast, I almost fell off the bed. There was nothing. The room was empty. My heart hammered against my ribs. I slowly turned my gaze back to the mirror on the wardrobe door. The reflection was empty now, just my own terrified face staring back. The next day, I couldn't get the image out of my head. I went to the library and searched the college archives online, my fingers typing Priya Singh, room 309 with a sickening sense of inevitability. The search results appeared instantly. A news article from 5 years ago. The search results appeared instantly. A news article from 5 years ago. And then I saw her photo. It was the face from the mirror. After that day, the room stopped hiding. The haunting wasn't just confined to the dead of night anymore. I'd hear faint whispers even during the day, my name being called on the wind. My own handwriting started to change, sometimes slanting into the same elegant script from the diary. The most terrifying part was my reflection. Sometimes I'd catch a glimpse of myself in a window or a mirror, and my reflection would be smiling when I wasn't. A cold, knowing smirk. One night I was frozen in front of the wardrobe mirror, unable to look away. I watched in horror as my own lips began to move, but the words that came out weren't mine. The voice was a soft, chilling whisper. "This body listens better," it said. That was it. I ran from the room down to the warden's office, babbling, begging her to change my room, telling her the room was haunted. She just looked at me with those same tired, indifferent eyes. Then she said something that made my soul freeze. Priya said the same thing. And in that moment, I understood this wasn't just a haunting. It was a possession. Priya hadn't committed suicide. She had been murdered in that room, locked inside, silenced, her pleas for help ignored, just like mine were now. She never left. She was waiting for someone else to come along, someone she could use to finally get her justice or her revenge. Sometimes late at night, when I catch my reflection at just the wrong moment in a dark window.